Before we continue, I'd like to give a shout out to the sponsors of this video, Blade X-Lord. Blade X-Lord is a free-to-play 3D real-time command battle RPG made by the same staff who worked on Final Fantasy, Chrono Trigger and more. Now I personally liked its exhilarating gameplay and how easy to play it is. Cinematic cutscenes draw you into the expansive story, and the harmony of sound and visuals give it a very, very realistic feel. So what are you waiting for? Check the link in the description and download Blade X-Lord now. Now, when we think of anime, we usually think of a lot of intense action and drama. Most memorable moments in anime history are born out of heat and adrenaline. It's either that or the tears that refuse to stop. On the other side of the spectrum, anime can also be the source for some of the most simplest joys in life. A comfortable way to unwind and relax after a tiring day, especially during troubling times like now. Now, while I admit that I also include a couple of fast-paced, high-action titles in this list, I think that these are some of the nice, comfy shows that you can consider when you want to unwind and relieve your stress a little bit. A lot of these are comedies, and a couple of them are even downright wholesome and heartwarming. Anyway, let's have some fun together now, shall we?
さて、仕上げだ。
Food Wars probably doesn't need any introduction for most of you. One look at the show, as well as the discussions around it, will probably tip you in with the show's appeal. Well, for those who aren't familiar with the show, Food Wars, also known as Shokugeki no Soma, stars Soma, an aspiring chef working for his father's restaurant. He has dreams to make it big, but as always, the road ahead is tough. Things get tougher when his father's restaurant closes, sending him to Totsuki Culinary Academy. There he takes on new challenges in the form of shokugeki, high-stakes cooking showdowns that put his mettle to the test. Who could say no to humorous moments, interesting characters, and a healthy dose of fan service? Come for the fan service, stay for the nice story, charismatic characters, and amazing food showcase. That sums Food Wars up just about right, don't you think? Music, tea, cake, and a group of cute girls. That's the face of the anime that revolutionized the industry as the last decade began. It's a no-brainer that K-On!, one of the most influential slice-of-life anime out there, would make it to this list. K-On! Tells the story of Yui, an eager yet lost high school student looking for a club to join. In a twist of fate, she stumbles upon the school's light music club, a club on the verge of disbandment due to the lack of members. Lack of experience aside, Yui and her friends look to one day make it big to perform in the ever-famous Budokan. Thus begins her journey into this bright new world, an adventure full of twists and lots of cake and tea. But it's not all fun and games. In between tea parties and goofing around, K-On! Does have its share of dramatic and emotional moments. Many manly tears were shed during the finale of both seasons. Why not take some time to relax, unwind, and watch the show that started it all? 8th place on the list is, haven't you heard? I'm Sakamoto. Being popular at school, it just isn't easy, is it? If you need further proof, just ask Sakamoto. Constantly being the object of jealousy isn't an enviable position to be in, but if there's anyone capable of overcoming it and making the other guys look like pathetic losers, it's none other than the master of suave. There's really just something with how Sakamoto does things. Some call it sophisticated, while others would call it sublime. Whatever it is though, he does things so fabulous you gotta wonder if he would get his comeuppance someday. Take it from me, you better give it up, all you jealous guys. Sakamoto will foil your plots one after another and come out looking as confident as ever. Still up to the task? How about watching his classroom misadventures for yourself and laugh your heart out in amazement at the master of suave.
Sakamoto ですが。俺んち来るか?
You know, watching Somali and the Forest Spirit recently made me realize how wholesome some anime can be in terms of showing love, care, and growth spliced with the joy of parenting. It also made me remember this show that told its story in kind of the same vein, actually. While Somali is set in a fantastic world of fairy tales, this show, Usagi Drop, takes place in our world. After losing his grandfather, 30-year-old Daikichi goes home and meets a young girl named Rin. Now, much to his disdain, the little girl finds herself an object of scorn from the family, all thanks to the fact that she's said grandfather's illegitimate daughter. So, distraught at this treatment, Daikichi resolves to take the child in and raise her despite not exactly looking like the most qualified person to do this sort of job. In a change of pace from the usual quick-paced action, fan service, or comedy that common people have come to know anime for, Usagi Drop takes us on an enriching journey about growth, family, and parenthood. Yep, K-On! Is not the last KyoAni show on the list as we proceed with our next entry, Nichijou. Now, how do I describe Nichijou? Well, let's just say that it's a light-hearted comedy featuring the antics of a trio of friends. Add a couple more quirky characters and you have on your hands the recipe for a wild comedy that will surely satisfy your cravings for some of this out-of-world fun that only anime can deliver. It's a slice-of-life anime that takes pride in its simplicity and outrageousness, but it more than makes up for it with fun characters, a lack of restraint when it comes to creativity, and sheer silliness that's sure to get a few chuckles out of you. In short, Nichijou is just insane, and that's not to be taken negatively. It seems to be this comedy where pretty much everything goes. It's this kind of insanity that some people could be looking for in order to loosen some tie screws brought about by stress and heave off those heavy burdens, and if that's the case, you should give Nichijou a shot if you so please. We have a well-beloved classic, Mushishi, at number 5. In a world full of mushi, nature spirits, ginkgos what can be called a mushishi, special people who have the ability to interact with these spirits. Unassuming, these spirits take the form of things from the natural world, which include rainbows, swamps, microbes, you name it. While neither good nor evil, these spirits do cause a couple of inconveniences for people, and it's up to Ginkgo to resolve the problem they cause. In a twist from the usual anime method of resolving conflicts like this, Ginkgo doesn't take to battle. Instead, the series is really mellow and well-paced, and the spirits are dealt with through understanding. Violence is usually the last resort in this thought-provoking show that can be compared to a docudrama. While the premise might sound formulaic, no two cases are too similar, and following Ginkgo's journey with each episode does open some nice insights on human relationships. Overall, Mushishi is an easygoing show that brings forth a breath of fresh air with its refreshing take. Next, we have Barakamon. Life seems so good for Seishu Handa. Living the dream life as a calligrapher, his life seemed to be on an upward trajectory. That's until he loses his cool like how some accomplished people do when facing criticism. Was that punch worth it? Well, losing your status and getting exiled to the Goto Islands near Kyushu certainly isn't. However, I'm a firm believer of seeing beauty in a lot of things, and surely Handa can agree after he meets the colourful villagers and starts growing as a character through interacting with them. The islands are nowhere near the peaceful countryside that everyone would expect, and its quirky inhabitants are far from the most ideal neighbours someone like Handa can ask for. Regardless, learning to deal with them may be just the lesson that the master calligrapher needs. Who knows, maybe it's even here that Handa can finally find his own original style. A nice, good old turnaround, don't you think? Maybe your idea of relieving stress during these times is a dose of energy, a rush of adrenaline. If so, then take to the skies with Simon and Kamina and relieve their glorious fight against the world once again. What else can I say about Gurren Lagann that has not already been said by others? Its reputation speaks for itself, and one glance at the show can easily tell you what to expect. I'd say that TTGL's a lot more than what it seems on the cover. Sure, it has no shortage of wild and crazy action, but it's also a story that will take you through a roller coaster of emotions and mind-blowing heroism. When it comes to adventures that transcend time, chronicle the birth of a hero, and shower you with impressive visuals, few would come close to Gurren Lagann. It's mecha madness like you've never seen before, and if you're up for some super robots, make sure to put this one as your top priority. For our number 2 entry, it's time to enter the world of games in No Game, No Life. Disboard, a fantasy world where everything's decided by high-stakes games, is a gamer's dream paradise. If that's not enough to convince you, Disboard's got catgirls, elves, pretty angels who would take your head off at the first chance if not for the rules, by the way, and the one true god of games. What a dream world would that be for Sora and Shiro, two gamer prodigies in the real world who were rescued from their mundane everyday lives into the world of games. Guided by Tet, the god of games, the siblings seek to unite the races of Disboard and ultimately defeat God and become the new rulers of the realm. No Game, No Life takes the tropes and the fan service of the power fantasy light novel and turns it up into overdrive. If you're an avid fan of overpowered characters, a charismatic cast, lots of fan service, and a couple of laughs along the way, you'll have a fun ride with this one. Did I also tell you that the show has one amazing soundtrack too? Where do we start with KonoSuba? For starters, I'd say that it's one of the best isekai titles that the recent boom has offered to us. Instead of being the usual power fantasy or the revenge story, KonoSuba takes the initiative to pretty much be all about comedy. Having a cast of hilarious trolls makes things that little bit funnier. Joined Kazuma in his new life along with Useless Goddess 2016, Explosion Girl, and everyone's favourite masochist as they go on a quest to defeat this world's demon king. And instead of going straight on this grand quest, it turns out that these people will have to first contend with the everyday man's greatest enemy, living expenses. Fun days await and you'll spend hours on end laughing at the misadventures of Kazuma and the gang. If you're looking for meme faces, hilarious overreactions, quirky characters, and plot developments that will tickle your funny bones while satisfying that isekai craving, KonoSuba is a must-watch. So there you have it, 10 titles that will help you relieve stress and give you a good night's rest. I'm sure that you guys have lists that look quite different from mine on this topic, and I'd love to hear from you about that. Sharing is caring, and let's all stay strong together through thick and thin. For more content and anime recommendations, I very much welcome you to be a part of the family and hit that subscribe button and like button for more updates on top 10 content in days to come. Don't forget to check out our sponsor's new game, Blade X Lord. Links in the description. I'll see you next time on ViniiTube.